what actually separates the leaders who build those truly legendary organizations, the ones who inspire fierce, unshakable loyalty, from those who, well, simply manage people and collect a paycheck? Is it just innate talent? Pure luck? Actually, according to decades of research, brutal military battlefields, and literally thousands of corporate case studies, it comes down to one distinct advantage: intentional, applied knowledge. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to break down exactly how you can acquire that edge. Today, we are doing something really exciting. We're distilling the wisdom of the top 10 best books on leadership and management into a cohesive, actionable roadmap. We like to call it the Leadership Expansion Arc. We're talking about the absolute heavy hitters here. Books like Good to Great, Extreme Ownership, and Dare to Lead. Our goal? To transform this massive library of knowledge into a clear masterclass that will fundamentally change the way you lead, whether you're managing a scrappy team of 2 or a massive organization of 10,000. Okay, let's dive into this. Our roadmap for this explainer progresses through 4 key phases. First, mastering the inner leader. Second, igniting individual purpose. Third, forging unbreakable teams. And finally, architecting strategic greatness. Let's kick things off with phase 1, mastering the inner leader. Look, the foundational truth here is that all great external leadership has to begin with mastering yourself. So we first look to Jocko, Willink, and Leith Babin's powerhouse book, Extreme Ownership. This is the radical practice of taking absolute 100% responsibility for everything in your life and organization. Zero excuses. Derived from some pretty brutal battlefield lessons by US Navy SEALs, the principle is disarmingly simple. There are no bad teams, only bad leaders. By shifting your focus from blaming others to radically owning every single failure, you instantly transform your effectiveness. If communication breaks down, you didn't communicate clearly enough, you own it, you solve it, and you move forward. And this brilliantly illustrates our next core concept, coming straight from Brené Brown's research in Dare to Lead. She completely dismantles this old myth that leadership means projecting flawless confidence and just having all the answers all the time. Instead, she contrasts armored leadership, hiding behind perfection and dodging difficult conversations, with grounded confidence. That's the courage to lean right into uncertainty and rumble with vulnerability. Because avoiding a tough conversation isn't protecting anyone, it's a leadership failure, plain and simple. True grounded confidence means knowing your values and having the guts to show up even when you can't control the outcome. Which brings us to a frankly staggering statistic from Daniel Goleman's book, Primal Leadership: 90%. Goleman's research reveals that emotional intelligence, we're talking competencies like self-awareness, self-management, empathy, accounts for up to 90% of the difference between average performers and star performers in senior roles. Think about that. A leader's mood is quite literally contagious. When you're positive and empathetic, mirror neurons in your team's brains actually mimic that state. So, to avoid becoming this dissonant leader who just drains everyone's cognitive energy, you've got to master yourself emotionally first. All right, moving right along to phase 2, igniting individual purpose. So you've got a firm grip on your inner self. Now you need to learn exactly how to motivate and inspire the individuals around you. The secret sauce here is found in Simon Sinek's concept of the golden circle from Start With Why. You see, most organizations communicate from the outside in. They tell you what they do, maybe how they do it. But the most inspiring leaders in the world, they start from the inside out. They start with the why. So the crucial point is this: people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Authentic loyalty from your team and your customers, for that matter, doesn't come from flashy features or big bonuses. It comes from communicating your core purpose, the real reason your organization exists beyond just making a buck. Now, what's really fascinating about this next concept from Daniel H. Pink's book Drive is how it completely redefines modern motivation. Pink argues that traditional carrot and stick rewards actually fail when we're talking about complex cognitive work. Turns out treating smart people like donkeys chasing carrots can literally crowd out their creativity. Instead, he introduces Motivation 3.0, which is built on 3 scientifically backed intrinsic motivators: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. When people have the freedom to direct their own work, the chance to get better at something that actually matters, and a real connection to a larger cause, human performance absolutely soars. It's a game changer. Let's move on and see how this builds into phase 3, forging unbreakable teams. Scaling up from individual purpose, we hit the architecture of cohesive group dynamics. Patrick Lencioni's The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team gives us a really powerful diagnostic tool here. Let's just walk through these building blocks sequentially because it's like a domino effect. It all starts right at the base with an absence of trust, where team members refuse to be vulnerable with one another. Well, without trust, you inevitably get a fear of conflict, which leads to this polite, artificial harmony instead of passionate, unfiltered debate. And without debate, there's a lack of commitment to decisions. That lack of true buy-in results in an avoidance of accountability. Standards drop because people hate having uncomfortable conversations. And finally, the whole thing culminates in an inattention to results, where individual egos trump collective success. Overcoming these dysfunctions, step by step, is your ultimate competitive advantage. Simon Sinek captures this team dynamic so profoundly in his book, Leaders Eat Last. He says, leadership is not about being in charge. It is about taking care of those in your charge. The title itself actually comes from a Marine Corps practice where officers literally eat after their troops. It communicates a really profound message. I will sacrifice my own comfort for yours. Sinek calls this creating a circle of safety. When you, as the leader, protect your team from internal threats, office politics, backstabbing, fear, they feel secure. And from that place of deep security, they can focus all their combined energy outward on defeating the actual external competition. Which brings us to our final macro phase. Phase 4, architecting strategic greatness. This is where those tight-knit, purposeful teams are guided by elite strategy to scale into truly legendary organizations. And honestly, it is so fascinating to compare Sun Tzu's ancient military wisdom from the art of war with Jim Collins' totally data-driven modern research in Good to Great. Collins studied over 1,000 companies to see what makes a sustained leap to greatness, and the parallels to Sun Tzu are just striking. Sun Tzu emphasized virtues of character, while Collins found that great companies rely on what he calls level 5 leadership, which is a mix of deep personal humility and intense professional resolve. Sun Tzu said to know your terrain. Collins calls this the hedgehog concept, finding that sweet spot of what you can be the absolute best in the world at. Sun Tzu preached adaptability. Collins highlights the necessity of a rigorous culture of discipline. The foundational laws of great strategic leadership, they are well and truly timeless. And that leads us perfectly into a brilliant concept from John C. Maxwell's The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, specifically the law of the lid. This law basically dictates that your personal leadership ability determines your organization's absolute ceiling. Think about it. If your leadership ability is, say, a 6 out of 10, your organization's effectiveness is never, ever going to exceed a 6. An organization simply cannot outgrow its leader's current capacity. So if you want to raise the ceiling of your team and your business, you've got to raise your own lid first. Everything rises and falls on leadership. That single sentence from John C. Maxwell pretty much serves to summarize this entire masterclass. Through all 10 of these legendary books, from Jocko Willink's Extreme Accountability to Brené Brown's Grounded Vulnerability, from Simon Sinek's Deep Purpose, all the way to Jim Collins' Rigorous Discipline, the overarching message is crystal clear. Leadership is not some magical talent you're just born with. It's a process. It is a daily, relentless commitment to learning, to building your character, and to serving the people in your charge. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final challenging question. Which of these principles will you take ownership of today? Will you build a true circle of safety for your team? Will you finally articulate your organization's real why? Or maybe you need to confront the dysfunctions that are holding your people back. Don't just nod along to this information and move on. The greatest leaders in history were simply the ones most committed to growing. Pick just one of these concepts, or better yet, go grab one of these top 10 legendary books and start your own leadership expansion right now.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. It means the world to me that you're here and part of this book-loving community. If you love this video, please hit the like button. It helps others find the channel. And don't forget to subscribe for more book discussions, deep dives, and all book things literature. I'd also love to hear your thoughts in the comment and connect. And if you know someone who'd love this content, please share it with them. Sharing is caring, and it's how our little community grows. Until next time, happy reading!